Hello, I'm Melissa Castellanos with Halo Creative Designs. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a fall-themed deco mesh wreath using some florals. So let's get started. I have chosen for this project a hand-painted wooden sign. It's on 1/4 inch MDF. And I liked this because it's got the paisley pattern with teal. Teal is actually a very popular color to use for fall. Since the sign I chose for this project, the acorn, is a little on the smaller side, I had to opt for a smaller frame. This one is a 12-inch frame that I picked up from Walmart. Our acorn actually measures 10 inches by 10 inches, and I will provide the link for this sign in the description of the video. I wanted to do a bright color for the base, so I chose this 10-inch polyjute mesh. It is kind of a burnt orange color. It's really bright. I'm not sure it's translating that color as well on camera, but it's really bright and rich, burnt orange. I cut this mesh in strips of 30 inches, and since there are 12 ties on the frame, I cut 12 strips. You will end up using the whole roll. For our base, we're going to do the cruffle. It is a combination of a curl and a ruffle. So on each end, you're going to roll 2 to 3 times, and then you're going to ruffle down the middle. Open a tie, lay where you pinched in the center of that ruffle, or cruffle rather. Lay it in between your ties. Pull your ties opposite each other really snug. Cinch that mesh down to the frame. Give it a twist or two to secure it, and then fluff your cruffle. So to make your cruffle, you follow the natural curve of the mesh. Start on one end and roll 2 to 3 times to form your curl. Then clip it in the middle with a clip of some type. Go to your other end, roll 2 to 3 times to form another curl. Then pinch in the middle and scrunch down the middle to form your ruffle and connect it to the curl on the other side. Then you can remove the clip and then place that bundle of mesh into the next open tie and secure it to your frame. Now you're just going to repeat that step for each piece of 30-inch mesh that you cut, and you will place 1 piece per tie on your frame. So that's a total of 12 pieces. To keep your ruffle from looking lopsided, when you scrunch down the middle, try to stay in a straight line, and it just helps your ruffle form properly when you go to put it in the frame. Now I'm adding the last piece of mesh to the base. I just love how much coverage that this mesh and this technique provides for a base. There are no holes, there's no see-through spots. It's gorgeous, it's full, it's fluffy, and it's dense. I love it. Now we have to prepare our sign using some cable mounts. I'll provide the link in the description for these cable mounts. You're going to put one on the top, one on the bottom, and then run some E6000 epoxy around the edges to secure it. I don't trust just the sticky backing on these things to hold up in the extreme heat. I chose 4 different ribbon for the tails, 2 2.5 inch and 2 1.5 inch. I cut them at 12 inches long. I'm going to dovetail the ends by stacking a few together evenly, folding them in half, and then cutting from the folded edge down to the tip. This creates a V detail called the dovetail, and it's the finishing touch for the edges of your ribbons. Now to add the tails to our wreath, you pick a 2.5 inch and a 1.5 inch, and you stack them together with the smaller ribbon on top. You fold it in half to locate your center, pinch in the center, and at that pinch is where you're going to add it into a tie, the next tie, on your frame, and then fluff your ribbon. And you will alternate your ribbon selections. I remember I said that I chose 4 different ones, 2 2.5 inch and 2 1.5 inch. So you will pair one of each size and then alternate those pattern arrangements around your wreath. Once you have added the last set of tails to the outer ring, then you can transition to the inner ring and finish adding the rest of the tails. Now we're going to make the bow. We're going to start with a 2.5 inch, measure out a 14-inch tail, and then pinch, kind of cinch that into your fingers. Then put that pinch on your starting measuring mark. Measure out a 14-inch loop, and then bring that to the back and squish it into your fingers with the previous end. And just fluff your loop up, and then twist that bottom tail to bring your pretty side up. Measure another 14 inches, bring it to the back, and then twist. Now at this point, I stop and I size the bow. So I hold it up to my wreath with my sign on it, and I check for size and placement. If it's too big, then I can size down, and if it's too small, I can go back and make it a little bigger. So once you have it the size you like it, go ahead and make 2 more 14-inch loops. So put your pinch on the start mark, measure to 14, bring that to the back, squish it into your fingers, straighten your loop, then twist that tail to the top to bring your pretty side up. Actually, we only did 3 loops on this. I only did 3, I apologize. So only do 3 loops for this bottom ribbon. Cut your tail roughly the same size as your previous one. And then where you have that pinched, slide that right down the center of your Bodabra. And go ahead and take the time to straighten your loops and tails as you lay each layer in. This will help your bow open better once you get it all put together. The next ribbon that we're going to use in our bow is a 2.5 inch stretchable mesh cream colored ribbon. I just love this ribbon. We're going to measure out a 14-inch tail and pinch. Measure out a 14-inch loop, bring it to the back, squish it in, pinch it in. And typically you twist when it's one-sided ribbon. This is two-sided ribbon, so it looks the same on both sides and you don't have to twist. But I always twist anyway, just to keep myself in the habit of making that twist, because most ribbon is one-sided. So measure another 14-inch loop, bring it to the back, pinch it in and twist it. And then cut a tail roughly the same length as your other. Once you've done that, then you can slide it into your Bodabra on top of the other ribbon and straighten it out before you move on to the next one. This next ribbon is our first 1.5 inch. It is our pop of color, the teal, that will match the teal in the sign. Same way we made the other bows, we're making 3 loops, except for these loops are going to be 13 inches. Lay it on top of the last ribbon in your Bodabra and fluff. Then here you see the final ribbon, and these loops are 12 inches, so 3 loops at 12 inches. And then you're going to add that in to your Bodabra to create your bow. Now you're going to need to take a pipe cleaner or some 26 gauge floral wire and insert it under the underside of your Bodabra. Technically you're supposed to put it in first, but I always forget. So I just lift about 1/4 inch my ribbon up off the bottom of the Bodabra so I can slide it underneath. Then I cross the ends between those slats in your bow maker and cinch down on your bow. Then I use my thumbs and the ends of the pipe cleaner to pull it up out of the bow maker. Then I work the pipe cleaners around to the back and twist the bow to get the tightest twist. If you just tighten the pipe cleaners, it will not tighten as tightly, so twist your bow. Now we need to add the bow to your wreath. So wherever you have chosen to add it, just run your pipe cleaners down to your frame and tie it off, secure it to that inner bar. You don't want to secure it to the outer bar because it will pull the bow to the outside of your wreath, and you want it sitting on the top and on the front. So pull or secure your bow to that inner bar. Now I'm going to take a pipe cleaner and run it through each one of the cable mounts. So I have a way to attach the sign to the frame. I'm just going to run one end partially through, then wrap it around on top of itself for reinforcement. So here you can see I have a pipe cleaner through each mount, and the E6000 has set up enough for me to use it. So now we're going to attach it to our frame. Make sure that all the ribbons are out of your way and the ties are out of your way. Select your placement and then run your pipe cleaners down to the frame. I always choose to put my signs kind of tilted to the right at an angle, offset from my bow. So then once you've decided on your placement, secure both your bottom and top pipe cleaners to the inside bar of your frame. Once you have your sign attached, go back and adjust your ribbon, any ribbon that got squished or moved when you were adjusting your sign. Now we're going to start with the florals. I have this bush of wildflowers. We're not going to use these long green pieces on the bottom. We're just going to use the top pieces. So we're going to cut down this whole bush, and then we'll add them to our wreath. We're going to start right here under the bow. Don't be afraid to place your embellishments kind of in the peekaboo spots, you know, where they're kind of peeking out from under and around things. We're going to go around our wreath and add these pieces of florals before we glue them in. And I wanted to show you guys, you know, I have achy hands, I have rheumatoid arthritis, and I love my vice grips. They make cutting these stems easy work. So again, we're going to add the florals that we're cutting around the wreath before we glue them in. And we do this to test placement to make sure we like where they're going to go, because once you hot glue them in, you're kind of committed. And if you're not comfortable with that, this way is totally acceptable. You place all your pieces first, and then you can go back and glue them once you like your look. Here we have a couple more options, a cream colored and a variegated orange, little like palm bush, not palm, I'm not sure what these are, but they're dense and they provide good coverage and honestly a really good contrasting pop of color. That variegated orange against the burnt orange is really nice. go around your wreath and add these gorgeous little babies to the spots where it needs something. And you'll know, it'll be the spots where you see a lot of mesh. You know, where a mesh is just a part of the design. This is all about layering. So you'll know when you see kind of a bare spot, and that's where you're going to fill in with your florals. I wanted to add a little more of the teal color into the design. So we're going to do 1 loop bows. They are 5-inch tails and a 10-inch loop. And you form a 1 loop bow, wrap a pipe cleaner around it, and then you're going to attach it to the frame. Part your mesh and run your pipe cleaner to that inside bar and tie off. Secure it to the frame. Then you want to trim the end. And because this is peony ribbon and it doesn't do well for tails, we're going to roll it, just curl it. So after you've trimmed it, just curl it up under, do both ends that way, and then kind of fluff your bow a little. We're going to make another bow exactly like that one and add it to the top area of the acorn to balance out the pops of color. Make sure you're securing these bows to the inner bar and not the outer bar. The outer bar makes your embellishments ride to the outside, and the inner bar pulls them to the inside. Now is your chance to look over your piece and make sure you're happy with everything, that you like where everything's placed. Then we're going to fluff our bow, put a little bit of curl in the ribbon. And since we use that 2.5-inch stretchable mesh ribbon, we're going to fluff those loops and tails out to finish off the bow. And we have to do all of this because remember, we just inserted everything dry, and now we have to go back and add the hot glue and glue everything into place. So if you like everything's placement and you've got your bow how you want it, go ahead and start gluing in all of the florals that we've added to this point. Once I think I have everything added, I go back around and I tug on each one just a little bit so I can rest easy that I have added hot glue to them all. As you can see, the sides are full, there's no gaps. Here's the back. To clean it up, all we have to do is trim these couple of pipe cleaners and tuck them in so there's no pokey edges. Here's our finished piece, a very elegant fall statement piece for your front door. You can also display this over your mantle if you want to keep it inside. Thanks for watching. Click subscribe down below to subscribe to our channel. Would you like to learn how to make your own home decor? Find me at halocreativedesigns.com.